Last time we talked with visual designer Molly McLeod about how the ampersand was a bit of ancient shorthand for the Latin word et, meaning and how the fusion of letters into a single symbol is called a ligature. So why hasn't there been a ligature for the? It's the most used word in English, so doesn't that warrant an abbreviation too? Well, the truth is people have been abbreviating the since long before modern English was even spoken. Back between the 9th and 12th centuries, the English alphabet looked a little different. There were still a few stragglers from the language's Anglo-Saxon roots, one of such being our little forgotten friend, Thorn. Thorn is a letter that not only has been part of Old English, but also Gothic and Norse alphabets as well, and today it lives on in Icelandic. Thorn makes both the voiceless th sound, as in thanks and think, and the voiced th sound, as in there and the. So over the centuries, people have used Thorn to help in their shorthand. The first known abbreviation of its kind was the barred thorn, a symbol found in Old English manuscripts. This bar across the ascender of the thorn was most likely the result of combining the letter thorn with the letter T. It was used as shorthand for the Old English word thought, which at this time meant that or the. Once a distinction was made between that and the hundreds of years later, the barred thorn fell out of fashion. Instead, thorn got the superscript E attached to it when meaning the, and a T for that. They also put a U above thorn as shorthand for thou. Though the letter thorn was still used in some dialects of Middle English and early modern English, as the language progressed, two new things arose. First being the replacement of thorn with the digraph th, which gained popularity in the 14th century. By the mid-15th century, the usage of thorn was reserved for just common words, and of course, ligatures. The second development we see, in certain scripts, thorn had grown to look a lot like the letter Y. This similarity often changed the spelling of the word the from thorn-e to y-e. Though this word was always pronounced the, this Y version of the was a ligature for a while too, as was this and that. You can see their usage here in a Middle English epitaph from Oxfordshire Parish Church. The YE ligature was even visible as recently as 1620 on the Mayflower Compact. The dawn of the printing press eventually put a stop to all of these abbreviations and the letter thorn. It wasn't in the Latin alphabet, and as a result, nearly all European languages didn't have it. When put into print, thorn was either replaced by a Y or th. It's possible that this may have contributed to the dropping out of thou in favor of you. Since the printing press was the way the language ultimately reached spelling standardization, this meant the end of the road for thorn. Since then, there's been no unified abbreviation for the, but that hasn't stopped people from trying. Let's jump way ahead to 1916. In LaGrosse and Grant's Printer's Handbook, Typographical Printing Surfaces, there's a passage dedicated to alphabet reform. In English, there are about 44 unique sounds, but only 26 letters to represent them all. This is called an irregular orthography. So by creating new symbols to represent each of the 44 sounds, English could achieve a regular orthography. It was easier for non-native speakers to learn, plus it was more efficient for printers since it made for 3 to 4% less time setting extra letters. In this book, the sound that th made was represented by an H with a stroke, so the ligature for the would be this. Sadly, this modern replacement for thorn never really caught on. In 2013, another new ligature was invented. Fashioned after the Cyrillic letter t, this symbol, sometimes called the tap, was created by an Australian entrepreneur, Paul Mathis. In his YouTube video, he explains that while and is only the 5th most used word in the English language, the is number 1, and yet it doesn't have a symbol as and does. He has proposed using this new symbol as a new way of internet shorthand, but years later, even this has not caught on. It's weird to think that for most of English's long history, there's been a letter to make that th sound. With a letter like thorn, English phonetics would make more sense. Even its absence would make words like lighthearted, anthill, and warthog easier to read, and we'd finally be able to agree on the pronunciation of this word.